Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Noor Al-Qasir. On behalf of the Women's Activities Portfolio for the Ismaili community of the United Arab Emirates, I would like to welcome you all today and thank you for taking the time out of your schedules to join us tonight. We would like to inform you that there is a lot of information out there which keep changing. Therefore, the opinions and views expressed by the speakers tonight are their personal views and are intended to be shared with members of the Ismaili community based on present knowledge. Before we start, for housekeeping, at the end of the presentation, there will be a question and answer session. We urge you all to add your questions in the Q&A or chat box. At the bottom of your screens, we will try to cover as many questions pertaining to the subject today as possible, if time permitting. We will be muting all those that have joined us to ensure everyone can hear the presentation. As business platforms have evolved over time, technology has provided a space for growth in many areas. COVID has expedited many business plans to move into e-commerce, and our speaker today brings a wealth of knowledge of how digital marketing can enhance your business growth. To help us learn in our two-part series on how to reach or start, grow, and monitor your business through targeting your audience in a cost-effective and measurable manner, we would like to welcome our marketing expert, Noor Safiya. Noor is a social media manager at Mimak Ogilvy, handling the IKEA channels in the UAE, Qatar, and Oman. She has over 3 years of experience working in social media for different fields from technology and automobile to makeup and retail, as well as much more. Aside from work, Noor has helped a number of local businesses with their social media strategies, such as Plus Future and Trendy Ladies Salon. Noor believes that a successful social media page can make or break a business. I'm super excited for the learning today. Without further delay, let me pass it over to you, Noor, for part one of the two-part series.
So, today we'll be talking about starting your business on social media. And what's important to know is this session is for you whether you already have a business that you are looking to grow on social media or you're looking to start a new business solely on social media. So, whatever it is that you are looking to do, I hope that you'll find enough examples and answers to your questions in order to get started. Just to give you an overview of what we're going to talk about today, we'll start with an introduction to social media to just tell you a little bit more of where we are now versus where we were before. Then we'll talk about the 5 steps for a successful brand on social media and which platforms to use for your specific business. So to get started, social media has evolved a lot throughout the years. So many platforms did not even exist a few years ago, and now they don't just exist, but they actually take most of the attention of the new users of social media. For example, TikTok, which only evolved about a year ago. Other platforms such as Facebook and Instagram, although they've been there for a while, have evolved so much, and now they allow us to get so many other ways of using the platform than we did a few years back. Another thing that's also very important is that we spend a lot of time on social media. The average person, especially in the UAE, spends about 3 hours a day on social media. And when you think of that, don't just think of, seeing the pictures and the videos that your friends post, but also all the messages that all the brands out there are trying to bombard you with so that they would get attention and you would actually look at their ad and take the action that they want you to take. Another thing that's super important is that due to COVID-19, many more businesses actually moved to online marketing and social media being the core of it. And that's because people can't go out of the house, right? So many people are now more open to social media marketing and online marketing than they were before. And all of the other businesses that were even there online before COVID have now put a lot more focus on online marketing than they did last year, for example. So without delaying further, let's get into the 5 steps that you need for a successful brand on social media. And it's very important that even though you might have started or did some of these steps, maybe you haven't done all of them. So it's good to just review your strategy for your business, following these 5 steps to see if you actually have, you're actually doing the best that you can for a successful brand on social media. So let's get started. The very first step that you need to do, which is something that you would do if you had an actual physical business, right? Which is plan and strategize. And what I mean by that is you need to have an idea about what you're going to do on your social media page before you even begin to have the page itself, right? So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to set your SMART goals. And by SMART goals, I mean goals that are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. Now, what does each one of these mean? A specific goal is, for example, I can't say I want to, for example, I want to have a lot of people love my brand, right? That's not a specific goal. A specific goal can be I want to have more followers, right? So this is a goal that you have, and it's a very legit goal. A measurable goal is something that you can measure. Again, having followers, you can measure the number of followers you had when you started the page versus after 1 month or after 1 year. An achievable or attainable goal is something that you can do, right? So you can't expect to have to make $1 million out of a social media profile that you're just going to start today and expect to have that much money in a month, for example, right? It needs to be something that you can achieve, you can do. Okay, and then having more followers, where we have specific steps you can follow to get those extra followers, right? And then realistic, it needs to be something that makes sense. So having more followers, again, it just makes sense. It's realistic. It's a realistic goal for any business on social media. Aside from just having followers, you can be looking to have sales. You can be looking to have people sign up for your courses online, or you can have people register for a service that you are going to provide online, and so on. Now, the last thing, which is the T, which stands for time bound, it means that something you need to set a timeline for, right? So you can say, I want to have 10% more followers, but when do you want to have that? Is it after 1 week, or is it after a month, or when is it, right? So all of these need to make sense. And when you're setting your goals, think of what you can do and what your capabilities are and what you can achieve, right? And these goals, you're going to keep monitoring them on a monthly or a weekly basis, whatever you want. Okay. Now, the next point is to plan your page based on your capabilities, as I just mentioned. But when you think of your capabilities, please don't just think of the things that you can do. Let's say I'm a mother who has 3 kids. One of them is a teenager, and the other ones are much younger. Okay, when I'm thinking of my capabilities to start a business in selling stitched fabrics, for example. Maybe your capabilities are only, being able to stitch the fabrics that you want. But your teenager kid might be the one who can create videos for you while you're doing that stitching and put it on your social media, which would give you very good results, right? So this is what I'm talking about when I say capabilities. It's also the amount of effort and time you can put in, right? You also need to review your competitors' performance. So you need to see what other people who are providing the same service or selling the same product are doing, because this is where you know how to base your business, right? You see what other people are doing, and then you see how you can set yourself apart from what they are doing, right? Then you need to plan the platforms you want to use and how. Now we'll go, once we're done with this, we'll go through the platforms to tell you more of what each platform is good for. But what I'm trying to say here is to focus your efforts on one platform. What people tend to do sometimes is they just start their business on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and Snapchat and Pinterest and everything. So they get lost with all of these platforms and they treat them all the same, which is not exactly the correct thing to do. So let's say I have a makeup brand that I want to collaborate with, okay, my place wouldn't be, for example, on Pinterest. Maybe it wouldn't be on Facebook so much as Instagram or TikTok, where people are interested in that kind of content there. We also need to define our pillars or key focuses. Let's say I'm opening a falafel shop. Okay, now this falafel shop, you'll have different things that you can do. You have driving people to the restaurant itself so they can have your food, or you have people shopping online so you can deliver the food to them, or you have maybe engaging your community because you want people to be loyal to your restaurant, right? So these three things are your key focuses, and this is what's going to drive your content, right? It's not just that I'm a falafel shop, but it's the things that I'm going to do that are the focuses of my content. Then we need to establish what the brand stands for and what values it holds. Let's say, for example, I own a shop that sells goods for pets. Okay, so what I stand for is treating pets right, and my values are being nice, being humane, and so on. Knowing your values and what your brand stands for is going to help you when you're creating content. So you're going to create content that shows the sympathy side of your brand more than just telling people come shop, come shop, come shop, like you would with other businesses, for example. Now, you also need to plan ways to engage your audience and keep them interested in what you have. Just like anything you do in life, when you're telling a story, you need to ensure that people are listening to that story and they're engaged, and they might have questions after, and so on. Same thing with your audience on social media. You need to make sure you have content that drives their attention and make them wonder and make them ask for more. And I think if any of you guys is on social media, you are looking for brands that give you something that you're interested in. Let's say I follow IKEA because I like to get inspired by the content that they have so I can improve my home, and so on. You do the same with so many other brands. So this summarizes the first point, which is the plan and strategize, which in my opinion is the most important one. This is where you need to put most of your thought process and time into. The second point is very important, and it's consistency. Whatever you do, you have to be consistent. Now, being consistent is in so many ways. Number one is in the number of hours you put. Let's take, for instance, a mother who has a lot of kids and she has a husband to look after, right? But she also wants to have her business go on social media. She might have 2 or 3 hours per week to spend working on her brand on social media. And that's totally okay, as long as she can commit to these 2 or 3 hours per week and have it a habit that, let's say, every Friday I wake up 2 hours or 3 hours before everyone else is up and I start working on my social media, okay? Another person might have just lost their job due to COVID-19, right? And this person is looking to start a business on social media and have that business their sole income, right? This person would be able to put a lot more time and a lot more effort than the housewife who's a mom as well, right? This person might be able to put 6 or 7 hours per day. Now, where this person is going to get in a month is definitely more than what someone who can put 2 hours per week is going to get to. But it's totally fine. As long as you're committing to a specific time, it's okay. You're going to improve, you're going to take your time, and that's totally fine. That's the beauty of social media. You do it at your own pace. The other thing you need to commit to, and this is more of a promise you make to your audience, is the number of posts per day or per week or per month. So you can't go from, for example, posting 15 posts a day and 3 stories to not posting anything for a whole month. You're going to lose your audience. After a while, they're going to think that you don't exist anymore. They're going to unfollow you. And you also can't go from not posting at all to posting 5 posts a day. I'm pretty sure, because this happened with me, and I'm pretty sure it happened with you before, where brands post so many times, even brands that you love, and then you just tend to, just leave me alone and you unfollow them. You don't want to get there. You want to be consistent. You want to have 1 post per week, be it, or 5 posts a week or 2 posts a day, but be consistent with it so that your audience knows how often you post and are okay with it, okay? The other thing is you need to commit to an SLA per day. What I mean by SLA is how fast you respond to the customer's inquiries. I'm sure that when you go to, a new restaurant or a pool, or even when you want to ask about a doctor, you go to their social media profile, you check what people say, you check the brand's response, you check the pictures they post. Do they look legit, or is this offer because they're really struggling and their audience are not happy at all? And that means that you're gonna probably go message them. So, hi, for example, I would like to know your opening hours. Now, let's say that brand, let's say you asked them today and you were planning to go for dinner. Now, let's say that brand did not respond to you until after 1 week. What happened there is they've lost a customer because you probably went somewhere else where they answered you. You don't want that to ever happen to you. You want to always be able to answer your customers as soon as possible. And although all the other things you can do them at your pace, and like replying to people's questions and being the customer service front of the business needs to happen daily. So every day, check your business, check what people are asking, and get back to them as soon as you can. You also need to commit to your brand's tone of voice and style or look and feel. Just like we discussed before, you need to establish what your brand stands for, what its values are. Your brand would also have a tone of voice. Let's say I'm opening a hippie restaurant. A hippie restaurant would clearly have hippie look and feel on their social media, which is going to be so different from opening a bookshop that's targeting older generation, people who are 50 or 60 and older. These people would be looking to more simple designs on social media, more super direct captions and language that you use with them. So depending on what your brand is, you have to be consistent with whatever tone of voice or style and look and feel that you choose for your specific brand. The third thing is to focus on your primary platform. As we mentioned in the strategy point, you're going to have one platform that you're going to focus on, at least when you're starting, okay? Now, how can you choose that right platform? Because there are so many, right, as we discussed. How would you choose that right platform? Can be based on specific points. The first one is your target audience. When I say target audience, it's the audience that you care about the most. If I have classes or courses for high school students, my target audience is high school students, right? If someone who's 60 years old follows and engages with me, it does not add any value to my business. But if someone who is in grade 11 or grade 12 engages with me, this is the target audience. Now, you need to see where your audience is. For example, if we are doing this classes online for high school students, my audience is probably going to be either on TikTok or on Instagram, probably not on Facebook, right? Because this is where the older generation is. So this is something to consider when you're choosing the platform. Another thing is the country. Now, some platforms are a lot more successful in specific countries compared to others. Let's take Snapchat, for instance. Snapchat in the UAE right now is not the most prominent platform. Maybe TikTok is beating it. But still, some people go to Snapchat and they would use it often and so on. Snapchat in Syria is blocked. So if you start a business that's more international or a business that's targeting people who are in Syria and you take Snapchat as your primary platform, you're probably not going to have anyone, seeing your content or engaging with it because it's blocked there. On the other hand, TikTok, for example, is very big in the Gulf. It's very big in India. These are the biggest markets right now. It's very big in Egypt as well. So you have to think of where each platform is most successful. And you can know that by asking people, by doing very quick research online. And I'm more than happy to also help you with that, with any information that I currently have. The other thing is you need to look at your competition. Where does your competition lie? Are they mostly on Instagram? If so, you also need to be on Instagram because the audience is there and is expecting the content to be there. If they're not, then don't try to go somewhere else, at least not when you're starting your business. And then you need to think of the objective. are you selling a product or are you just raising awareness? By raising awareness, you could have a page that tells people to practice yoga more, okay, or have more spiritual practice more often than normal people do. And this way, you're putting content out there to tell people what yoga moves to do and so on, but not necessarily asking them to buy something from you or to engage with you or whatever. And this is what I mean by awareness. So depending on what your objective is, you have to pick the right platform. For example, TikTok, people tend to watch a lot of videos, but rarely ever interact with them. Whereas Facebook, you have people interacting with your content a lot more than the usual times, right? Another thing you need to think about is the available resources. Are you able to create video content, or are you just going to create photos, or are you just going to create texts and captions and so on? Based on your resources, and again, here think of not just yourself, but everyone you know who can help you, who can be part of this journey you're taking, right? So think about all the resources, and if you can do video content, maybe you should focus on TikTok and YouTube. But if you can do photography and have amazing photos, maybe go to Instagram. If you're more text-based or very simple designs and so on, you can go Facebook or you can go Twitter, for example. The last thing and most important thing is to think of the nature of your business. What is your business doing? What does your business provide for people, right? So if your business is a shop, is a store, you need to go to a platform where you can direct people to Google Maps so they know the location to your store, for example. That can be done on Facebook and Instagram, but not so much on TikTok, right, where it's more native content. You can even have your daughter or son wanting to start a business on social media, and they can be doing something as simple as, I don't know, making your sunglasses look better with simple designs, right? So they're telling people how to make their sunglasses look better. And that's something that maybe your son or daughter would want to do on TikTok because they can provide very fun content and their audience is actually there. So, to summarize, when you're thinking of the platform, think of all these points, not one of them, not two of them, all of these points. And the more you give it a thought, a thorough thought, the more you're going to be on the right platform and you're going to drive better results. Fourth thing is content calendar. And what I mean by content calendar, it's the it's the plan that you have for all the posts that are going to go on your social media. So what you're going to have on this calendar is the date of posting, the caption or the text that's going to go with it, the image or video, and the link to direct your customers to a specific landing page. For instance, I would say on December 2nd, so that's the date, the caption would be Happy National Day. The image would be one of the influencers holding one of the products I'm selling, as well as the National Day flag. And the link that I'm directing people to is my website where they can actually buy that product that the influencer is showing, in the picture. And the content calendar is something that you can do on a weekly basis or a monthly basis or even a yearly basis, right? So this is where your time can be put in place. So when we're saying, you can put 2 hours per week, okay, Noor, what am I going to do in these 2 hours? What you're going to do is you're going to plan your content so that when the day comes that you're publishing your content, you're not then thinking of what do I put for caption here? What do I put for image? And so on. It will also give you an overview of how your page will look like if you do this on a monthly basis. So you would know how your page is going to look like. Now, another thing to consider when you're thinking of content calendars is to think of the relevant seasons or days of the year. The example I gave you with the National Day, no matter what brand you are, if you're in the UAE and you're posting about National Day, you are relevant to everyone who's in the UAE on this specific day, right? So that kind of content is gonna go more viral on this day because it's related to National Day. Whereas if the influencer was just holding your product without the National Day flag, it's not really relevant to your audience during this day. And the content is going to stand out because everyone's posting about National Day on National Day, right? The other thing is to consider the seasons. So if we have Christmas season or Ramadan season, you have to be considerate of your audience. You can't, for example, have a brand, even if it's lingerie, you can't be selling lingerie and posting women wearing this kind of clothes in Ramadan, right? It's so insensitive to the audience here. And at the same time, when it's Christmas, we know people are decorating their houses and trees and so on. If you are a business that sells, for example, accessories, and you can choose some accessories that would fit decorating your tree, that's when you're going to post it and shout out that this is what you need for the decorations of your Christmas tree, right? The last thing, which is the fifth point, is to monitor your performance. Whatever you do, even if you follow all the 4 steps before, if you don't do this, you're not going to improve that much. Monitoring your performance is looking at how your business is doing, what you did right, what you did wrong, what are people saying, so that you can then improve the next month or next phase that you're doing. So what you need to do here is not to just listen to your audience and what's happening on your page, but also what's happening on your competitor's page. Let's say um, I sell dairy products, and then I see that one of my main competitors is Al Ain, okay, which is a local brand here that sells milk and yogurt and so on. Now, if I go to their page and I see people are complaining a lot that Al Ain products are not available in stores anymore, then I know that I need to capitalize on how available my products are. So I might even go, the month after and create a post saying you can now find us in, I don't know, Safir and Lulu and Carrefour and all of these other places. And this way, the people who are complaining about what's happening with Al Ain are now coming to your page because you're giving them what you need. So this is where you can monitor what's happening even outside just your page. Now, what can you do with your page? I put here the main important things, but based on your goals, you can even be monitoring more things, okay? So the things you can be monitoring are the followers, and that's very easy to find. Just write down how many followers you're getting beginning of the month versus end of the month. Pages engagement, and what I mean by engagement is likes, comments, shares, and video views, for example. So you would look at your content and you would see, are people liking my posts more this month than they did last month? Now, if this is the case, you need to think of, why did this happen? Did I post more often so people liked it more? Did I post content that was more relevant, more funny? Did I add prices on my pages, and that's why people liked it more? Keep in mind, it's all a test and trial phase, right? So you try something, you see if it works, great, keep doing that. You try something else, doesn't work, just stop doing that, right? Another thing is reach. And by reach, I mean people seeing your content, but not engaging with it, right? And I know I'm that kind of consumer, although I do work in social media. Another thing is pages sentiment. And this is where you're going to look at the comment section of your page. You're going to look at, are people saying positive stuff? Like, for example, that course about Arabic language you did last week was amazing. I loved it so much and I'm going to recommend it to my friends. This is a positive comment. So you need to look at it. You need to see how many others are you getting as positives versus negatives. A negative comment can be something like, that Arabic language course you did was horrible. I already knew all the information. I'm going to tell all of my friends to never sign up with you again. Okay, so that's the kind of comments you want to try to avoid on your page as much as possible. That does not mean delete them. Okay, it means that you interact with them, try to solve that issue. Another thing is neutral, which is where people ask simple questions. How much does this course cost, and so on. Another thing you're gonna look at is earned coverage, and this is especially if you're on a platform such as Instagram. Now, I'm gonna give you an example about IKEA, because I'm pretty sure everyone here has been to IKEA, and I'm pretty sure everyone who has been clicked a few pictures here or there during one of their visits to IKEA and posted it as a story or as a post or so on. Now, why does this happen, and how can a brand like IKEA capitalize on it? It happens because people go, they have fun, and they feel like they want to share this with their friends. It's always coming out of a positive atmosphere, right? Or they could be going there, they have a very bad experience, and then they post about that bad experience. Now, what the brand can do is look at that earned coverage. People posting about them is very important because this is where other people who don't even know about your brand are seeing your brand and seeing someone's feedback on your brand and maybe basing their judgment on their friend's judgment, right? So you need to look at what other people are tagging you with and try to leverage that. Let's say I saw a lot of people posting about IKEA's ice cream for a specific month. What I'm gonna do is create a post that talks about the ice cream and the benefits of that one dirham ice cream and how tasty it is, and show different people, eating that ice cream and so on. The last thing that you can monitor is your best versus least performing posts. So this is where you look at the posts that did well and the posts that didn't do well, and then try to analyze, try to read the comments, try to, look at the captions that you had, look at the visuals that you had. Why did one beat the other? Okay. Now, we're done with the 5 steps that you need for a successful social media platform. And keep in mind, these are the basics. Once you actually start your business and you follow all of these steps, there's still a lot more to do, which is what we're going to go through in our next session, hopefully next month. Now, what would you use your platforms for? This is a very simple and quick guide, but if you're actually planning on taking your business online, have a chat with me. I'm more than happy to help you. We look at the strategy that you've done, and we can analyze to see which specific platform is the best for your specific business, because it varies a lot. Now, Facebook allows you a lot of promotions area, okay? So this is where you can spend a lot of money in order to get something in return from your audience, be it followers, be it engagement, be it reach, be it sales, whatever it is, okay? Facebook provides a lot of options to target specific audiences and get them to take the action that you want them to take. It also gives a lot of formats. It's actually the most diverse in formats. So you have formats such as photos, videos, albums or carousels, instant shopping experience where you can shop directly from Facebook, and so many other formats that we can go into details later if you're interested. Another thing is Facebook allows automated responses. So does Instagram, but Facebook is a lot more advanced in that sense. So if you're someone who does not have a lot of time on their hands, I would suggest going with Facebook, because this is where you can, if someone messages me about my working hours, they'll get an auto response that tells them the working hours, which means that I'm going to spend less time doing, community management or customer service on my page. The other thing is Facebook gives the most detailed analytics. And the analytics are, the insights that you get about your audience, about your page, and so on. So Facebook is the basic way to start your business, and I would recommend it especially if you're willing to promote or spend money to get your business out there. Twitter, on the other hand, is more for updates. It's more text-based, and it's more for news and trends. We all know that Trump is someone who is super active, for example, on Twitter, and he does get a lot of interaction and so on there, more than he would if he was on Facebook or on Instagram, right? So you need to think of where your business is. Even if you're just a figure who wants to become an influencer, you might want to be an influencer in recommending books to people, or a culture, influencer. So not just a makeup one, or not just a fun one. So maybe that's where you go to Twitter. Instagram also gives us a lot of areas to promote our content and promote our followers and our page and so on. But the difference is it's more visually appealing. So you go to Instagram to see nicer content. And even when we're posting on our Instagram pages, we try to edit our pages as much as possible to make them look good, right? Instagram is also an influencer's hub. a lot of influencers are there, and the beauty of influencers is they can give you the reach you can, be working for years for, and I'll give it to you in 2 or 3 days if they're like super big influencers. Instagram is also a place to tell stories, especially with the Instagram stories feature. So this is where you can, not just have one video that tells people what your brand is or what your product is that you're selling, but tell a whole story that goes on maybe for a month, maybe for a day, maybe for as long as you want it to go for. And then we move on to TikTok, which is the growing platform and where a lot of people are moving towards right now. TikTok is more video content based. So if you're planning to go on TikTok, please consider having either a good phone that you can shoot good content on, or just have someone who has a professional camera and can even help you with creating content for it. It's also short, fun, and super native. It's the most native. If you see a brand that's super crafted on TikTok, more likely people are going to ignore that content. It has to be something native, something like what you would send to your specific friend. It also has high reach potential. A post can go from reaching 100 people to reaching 100,000 to reaching millions in a few days, which is something that no other platform can give you without paying money for your content. The most important point in TikTok is people think it's for the younger audience. And people think it's for the younger audience, and what that means is people who are 17 years and old and younger. But that's not really true. Based on some figures we got from TikTok itself, the most active ages of people on TikTok is between the ages, is lower than the ages 26 or 25, and that's for the UAE. And these people, let's take the range of 20 to 26 or 27 years old. These are decision makers. These are people who make income and are willing to go buy that mascara you're promoting on that video that you posted on TikTok. Okay, so don't think of TikTok as super young audience, but it is younger than Facebook, for example. And the last thing is YouTube. YouTube is a very special social media platform, and it is the one that needs to be treated differently the most. It is a video content just like TikTok, but the difference is it's longer and it's more detailed and it's a lot more crafted. Okay, there's a lot more work in lighting and making sure the background looks good and making sure that I'm talking for very long, but people are still interested in what I have to say. So it's very different. It's also mostly used for how-tos and series. So you wouldn't post something and then disappear and then post about something else. It needs to be all consistent and talk about the same thing. And that brings us to the end of the session. I really hope that I was able to help you. We can now move on to the questions and answers where Noor can help us with. And I'm more than happy to help you with any questions you have.
Thank you so much, Noor, for this incredible information. It can be quite daunting thinking of starting a business, and marketing management is such a huge part of success of a business. Thank you for starting the thinking and development of our toolkit. Great. This brings us to the end of the webinar. Thank you all once again for taking the time to join us this evening.